of any stock or index that you like, and it will be super duper interesting. Okay, so Max, okay, ladies and gentlemen, do you see the galaxy? Do you see the sun? Do you see all the planets? Yeah, that's Max for you. And over to you, Max.
Sorry, I'm muted. All right. So just a minute, I'm just loading, making sure the data is running right now. Loading the track records. All right, so I can start in about 1 or 2 minutes time. Just a quick check. Everyone's here right now. Anyone present? Please let me know you're present right now. Oh, okay. I see your chats now.
Yeah, people are still coming in actually. Yeah.
Okay, please let me come in first. I'll start the video as well. Just a quick one. Who's the trader here? Any retailers or anyone who's institution? Please let me know right now. If you're not institution, then please let me know if you're a retailer or a totally new to trading. If you are new to trading, just type 1. If you're completely new, if you're a retailer, just type 2. And you have institution, let me know. Just type 3. Not necessary, Johnny. I suspect you are a retailer, I guess. So it's totally new. Like you guys have never traded in life before. Oh my goodness. You guys are doing
yeah, we are all
new people. Wow. Okay, so what drew you to this webinar then? Usually most guys who come looking for me, they are either professionals or they've been doing the markets for at least 5 years. That's the sad part about the markets right now. I mean, that's the reality of what's happening. Because today what I'm going to show to you is not your average stuff out there. Have you guys attended other webinars before? Have all of you attended other webinars before?
Max, so they're all my students, and they're probably pretty new to trading. I mean, yeah, I mean they learn Facebook marketing and all that, right? But because they trust me and everything, that's why they're here for this webinar.
Okay.
So yeah. Okay, so just teach them as though you're teaching a new person to trading. Yeah.
So I'm gonna use more simple terms today then, if that's the case. Not sure why Jonathan wants to go and ask that. That's fine.
But we'll figure the coconut versus donut later. Yeah, I think there are some of my metaphysics friends in as well, and we have a good mix. In fact, for the first time I see Max, we have quite a good number of females because it's period 9. Period 9 is coming in. Yeah, so women are moving in. Okay, we have more people coming in.
Yes, I still see people coming in. I'm going to give everyone 1 or 2 more minutes. Just grab a drink or something.
Yeah. Get your drinks ready, get your snacks ready. I'm all ready as well. Yeah, see, Max has a big bottle next to him so that he's...
Anytime you're ready. Actually, you can start now if you want.
Yeah, okay. 7:36.
All right then, okay. So today's webinar takes about anywhere between an hour to an hour and a half in most cases. In most cases, Q&A, because there's a lot of senior traders that usually find me, so it lasts up to an hour of Q&A session. So that's pretty normal for our webinars. I've been doing this for a long time already, right now, 3 years in professionally, 3 to 4 years already. That's a track record wise. We have been presenting to many institutions and stuff like that. So I'll tell you more about myself later. Usually at the second half of the presentation, I'll just give you an idea of where I am or where do I come from. But more importantly is that my job is very simple. I come from an area where data is being scrutinized all the time. So whatever I'm presenting to you today will sound very taboo, right? Please understand that what I'm sharing with you today will sound extremely taboo. I do ask that you guys come with an open mind, whatever I'm sharing with you. Another thing to note is that these things you will not hear anywhere else in the markets because these are only kept for the institutions. I repeat, these are not even meant for professionals. They're only meant for the institutions only. That is why you will not hear this anywhere else except from me. In the world right now, there's probably only about 10 time traders in the world who are really willing to speak about this, and they're not in Asia at all. All right. So I see that most of you guys are retailers. I've never seen any or completely new. I don't see a single professional here, so I don't expect any professionals tonight. So I'll try to tone down the topics in terms of the technicalities a little bit more. Is that okay? Just on one more check again on the chats that all of you have never traded before. If you have traded before, please let me know you traded before. At least I can feel like someone understands what the hell I'm talking about. Again, US traders tried doing this Can please? All right, am I muted again? Okay, I'm not muted. Right. They track moon phases only. Oh, you're trading only moon phases? Oh, small stuff. Right. The real stuff is actually deeper than that. So I'm going to start right now. Looks like people are still coming in. All right, welcome for those of you just joining. Perfect timing. Great. So let's start off right now. All right. So before anything we go with any so-called presentation like this, I have to go through a bit of a disclaimer first. Number one is that whatever you're seeing tonight is not meant to be financial advice. You are seeing this as a form of education only. The reason why I have to say this is because in Singapore, I'm not regulated under MAS. I'm getting registered as an expert through DCFX right now, which means that technically I can give regulated advice, legal regulated advice through DCFX by CMS license for those of you in the industry, right? So DCFX, if you Google them on the MAS website, they are regulated under Singapore's MAS, but I can only give advice to AIs. Anyone of you heard of this term called AIs before? Not the computer AIs. I'm talking about this term called accredited investors. Anyone of you here tonight, are you an AI? Is anyone regarded as AI? Just curious. If you guys, none of you are AI, it's fine as well. Not to worry about that because it's more for the industry itself to use. Just if you're curious what AI is, let me just Google it for you right now. Right. So for those of you who do not know about this, in this industry itself, right? If you made a lot of money already, you'll be invited by the bank in most cases to become what we call an accredited investor. In Singapore itself, to become an AI, there's a few criteria that you need to hit. So I'm just going to show it to you right now through HSBC website. So to become an AI, you need to make at least about 300,000 a year minimum. Right, that's a minimum, not maximum. You need to have about $2 million worth of net assets to your name at least, and about $1 million in terms of trading account size. If any of these qualifies, you can apply to become an AI. So by following me in terms of through DCFX as through the legal way, through MAS as expert advisor, I can only legally advise you through that means, through the company, right? So because of this thing, I cannot say that I'm doing any form of legal advice right now. So just gonna get out the disclaimer of the way first. Of course, with any systems out there, past performance may not indicate future performance in any trading results, right? And it's my legal duty to actually let you know that you need to seek advice from a financial advisor if you have any doubts whatever I'm saying. Obviously, most of them don't even know what the hell they're doing, right? And of course, for anyone salty, all the stuff the media still see are all credited source or their paid contents. So let's move on. Let's move on to the next slides. Okay, so once again, who are the retailers? If you're retailers, this will be very familiar to you. Retailers, anyone? Retailers? Any retailers? No retailers? I'm going to skip this part. Any retailers here? No retailers? No retail traders? Okay, fine. So, oh, you have? Great. Johnny's a retailer. Who else is a retailer? Anyone else? Apart from Jasmina and Johnny? Let me know if you're a retailer. So now I'm going to focus on the both of you tonight. So this stuff here written out to you, swing trading, scalping and stuff like that, are they familiar to you? Are you using them right now? And do you realize that you may not be working out for you at all? Do you agree that these things are things that are taught out there for the retailers and they suck, right? But these are the things that people swear by it all the time about how is it like? They swear that these methods work. And that's what 90% of you guys will probably do when you start trading the markets. And this is what some courses out there are pushing to say, hey, learn this, it'll work. No, it doesn't. This stuff are meant for retailers only. Some of you guys who might have gone to trading, tried looking to find ways to predict the markets. And you'll be told many times, nobody could do it. It's a scam, it's a hoax. Anyone's doing it, it's somewhere crazy. And some of you guys are here today because you are worried what's happening right now. You're seeing all the news about inflation. You guys are going through this 3-year cycle and you have no idea what the hell is going on. So why is this idea of inflation going through the roof right now? Why am I paying more for certain things? Is this whole process engineered to happen in the first place? Well, here's the thing. There's a way to safeguard yourself from all these effects. And one of the ways to do it is actually through trading itself or understanding how money actually works from a professional point of view. All right. So who is this for? Very simple. This is actually meant for the professionals, retailers, and new traders. So you guys are part of it as well. We're also looking for new existing traders looking to improve about 25% of your current results. If you are in the funds or if you are individuals who are open-minded enough, this webinar is for you to look and change the way how you see the financial world. It's also for individuals who want to understand how to predict upcoming events and markets, days, weeks, and months, and even years with extreme certainty. The data presented to you right now is also used to predict events in the world. So it's not just for trading. You can actually use whatever I'm showing you right now. If you understand the maths behind it, you can actually predict upcoming events. When's the next cycle of why did COVID exist? When's the next cycle of the critical disease? What's going to happen next year? Stuff like that. And you will know exactly which day things will happen. Of course, this webinar presented to you today is not for anyone looking to turn $100 to $1 million overnight. That's for the lottery itself. So if you belong to that category, try and turn $100 to $1 million overnight, well, you can hit the nearest lottery station out there and you can just leave this webinar right now. This is not for the webinar for that. So today itself, let me just go through the problems in the industry first. This is probably the bad advice that you've been told in the markets all the time. You hear things like, especially Bitcoin traders, buy the dip. Who's been buying on the dip so far? Anyone's been buying a dip? Johnny? Jasmine, is it? Just Jasmina? What about the rest of you? Any other retailers? Who has been told that you need to buy on the dip? Oh, Bitcoin is dropping, just buy on it again. If you've been buying on this advice so far by the public, guess what's happening? You are getting slaughtered day by day, right? I'm not going to go into details yet, but I'll just go straight to the point. There's other kinds of examples that some retailers swear by. It's called the moving average crossover strategies, right? And they say, if there's a moving crossover strategy happening in the markets, often it means that there's a technical signal to buy or sell. And most retailers are taught this method in majority of classes I came across, whether the gurus or not. And they say, oh, we just buy the crossover. And guess what happened? The moment you bought on a crossover, you should think you're going to make money. The market moves against you. The moment the signal appears, you go in, it drops against you. Is this familiar for retailers? So once again, Johnny and Jasmine, have you had this problem before? You say moving average enter, you enter the markets, and the whole thing go against you. Do you have experience that? Come guys, I need your help. Right? You get it all the time, right? And you'll be like, what the hell, man? It's a scam, isn't it? There are other kinds of strategies, technical strategies that some people swear by. It's called a trend line trading, Bollinger Bands. Then you get, of course, get margin call, right? And you lose the whole account, you lose your life saving. So you probably hear a lot of things. People say, oh, we trade on trends only. We are trend line traders, or we are Bollinger Bands traders, or reversal traders. Nothing wrong with that, actually. It's actually a legit strategy only if you know when to use it and when to avoid it. You see, most of the problem is that these things that they tell to you works on this idea of time. I mean, not time, on price only. You are blinded by when they actually want to do it. They only tell you the signal will only form a movement of numbers, will form a signal, tell you when to do it, right? And that's where you don't know when it's going to happen. So when the trend line hits on a certain resistance or certain probability area of movements, you get a certain reaction or expected reaction, but most of them are hooks. You will not work all the time. Then it comes to another form of trading. You should probably hear some traders swear by it once again. They say structured trading itself or Fibonacci point trading. Anyone of you heard this point called Fibonacci trading or trend lines or trend continuation trading, which means that the market moves aside, just follow it. How many of you actually tried chasing a trend like this? Once again, most of you are new, so I don't blame you. You probably wouldn't understand how the things I'm saying, but basically what it means is that when there's a breakout happen, you chase and buy and buy and buy. Thank you for replying for the retailer here who understands trading. You chase it, and suddenly you do not know when the structure actually changed, right? So there's some of the problems that is happening right now in the markets. Then what other things you hear? What do you think you always hear out there? There's this term called FOMO. It stands for fear of missing out. Did you know that as quants, as professional trainers, we actually know when a retailer will react based on a certain movement of price? I repeat, we actually know when there's a certain time frame and reaction price and a certain psychology behind the amount of price movement that will cause a retailer to jump in. We actually know your psychology behind this. So what they will do is that for those early birds, right, they'll enter early. But for those who are entering the market for the first time in life, you are being manipulated and you are given this feeling to want to rush to buy. The moment Bitcoin goes up in price, some of you will say, oh my goodness, it's going up in price. And you start chasing in. Some of you will wait to see your friends go and buy it first. Then your friends say, oh my goodness, I made money. And you'll be like, yeah, let me buy it too. What you're hearing or what you're going to say, let me buy it too, is known as a FOMO reaction. And most of you do not know that the moment you buy, after your psychology is calculated in the markets, the whole thing crashes against you. Your friend may break even because your friend went in early, but you'll be at a big loss. I'll show you some examples of the markets later on tonight. All right, familiar for the trader once again, the FOMO reaction. And it forms something what we call a bull and bear trap. There's actually traps that is intentionally set up to actually kill people like you guys. Right, make you trapped there, you cannot get out. And the only time you get out is the time you actually lose money. Okay, someone's tapping on my channel. I'm going to ignore that first. So that's for the trapping and what we call momentum of markets. Then the next thing you hear all the time, value investing. Someone just say seems like a life again. Yep, you probably lost a lot of money already. So there's another thing that most people always sort of like another group of traders, they say value investing. So value investing and fundamental tradings are rather similar. Value investing focuses more on what we call a PE ratio, right? And what's funny about these value investors is that they swear by a certain companies that they choose, they say will go up. And they say, I've done my research. Their ratio is all good, their gearing ratio is good, you know, they don't make much loans, and they're listed at the stock exchange. But what they don't check most of the time is that, right, are these companies part of the indices? Have you ever heard of this term called indices before? The index, which means that you have a bunch of companies put together that has a certain value, and that itself is a form of stock, so-called the safety net of the economy of the entire country. So your company may do well, and you may buy into that particular stock, right? You say, oh, I'm going to buy index, I'm not going to buy the stock because you think it's going to do well. And the next moment, some stupid news comes about in the market, the index crash, it pulls the entire stock down. Even though the company is good, the sums don't make sense. You'll be like, what the hell? Why did I buy into such a good company, but yet I'm losing money? Is what you probably ask. And that's because the value investors will swear by it, and they're most of the time wrong about it. I mean, I just hate to blow it to you that those to us is complete rubbish. Then comes fundamental trading. Your things like your NFP, your US report, your trade reports, your consumer index reports. You know, some people say, oh, this month the unemployment rate is really low. The market should go up. But why suddenly you hear news like NFP saying unemployment is really low, the claims are really low, but yet the market crash? Then after they hear news say, oh, NFP all-time low, or people's the amount of consumers, the amount of unemployment is all-time low. However, investors are not confident about the markets and they forecast a recession. So it's always some stupid news that come about. But you'll be like, shouldn't it be a good sign that the market is going to go up with low unemployment? Why does it not make sense at all? Right? And you hear the same news next month. NFP comes out good again. Oh, the market goes up. And you hear another report says, oh, NFP results are good, and it makes sense because the investors are confident that the Feds are not going to raise interest rates, and therefore they are bullish about it. You know what I mean? So you can have two same news, and one goes down and the other goes up, and you always see the media coming up with some excuse. Guess what? It doesn't work this way. What's funny is that we actually know the trades and the movements before this report even come out. As time traders itself, we are given this ability to actually forecast what they're going to do. So some people actually ask us, what are they going to do? And we're like, yeah, we really know what they're going to do. We can tell them the direction and we get it right most of the time. All right. Then what happens? This is a joke within the traders as well, the trading committee, Eller wave trading. If you Google this term, Eller wave trading, you see a bunch of gurus saying, oh, it's the best thing out there. And I used to think, maybe when I first entered the industry, I used to think this is good. I myself thought it was good. But you know what's the bad joke about it, about elevator trading? You give a chart, a data chart, to 10 elevator traders, and you ask them, hey guys, please tell me your input of elevator trading. The best part about it, elevator trading, is that you get 10 different answers. No one of them will agree with each other which is the right one. That's a joke. And when I dig deeper about this whole strategy that most groups out there claiming to work, it's complete rubbish. There are actually better systems out there, such as Wyckoff, that actually tells a better story than elevator traders, and yet less complicated. Then the ninth factors, the ninth point that is really old school in the industry. This is what's popular in the 2008 back then. They call it candle traders, where they look into the stuff like, oh, hammer pattern is formed, or engulfing pattern is formed, stuff that names like this industry that the trading charts that most of you probably don't understand this time, and don't blame me for it. But most of them will say, oh, there's something called shooting star pattern. I can find for you some shooting star later. And not the shooting star that you see in the sky, but the shooting star candle pattern itself. And you think that the market is going to drop, because in most cases, that's what we call a reversal pattern, right? Reversal itself. But next moment, what do you see? You see a Marbuzer white, which is one gigantic big buying bar. And you'll be like, what the hell? The market has went up so long, shooting star has formed, which means that people are selling, and yet somehow or another, the market went up again. This is where candle traders, technical traders get screwed. And this strategy used to work 15 years ago. Some people are still teaching it. If you sign up for programs out there, some of them will swear by it that you need to learn this. And to us, once again, it's complete rubbish, right? So this stuff that I've been through with you, we call them the traditional trading strategies, whether it's a technical strategy or a fundamental strategy itself. And these are traditional stuff. So what do you get out of this thing if you follow such strategies? And how do some of these so-called gurus, non-professionals or professionals, make money? If you look at the screen over here, you probably get about 30 to 60% of the time correct if you follow these strategies. I listed some of them there: structured trading, swing trading, momentum, zone strategy, moving average crossover, breakout, and away, pattern trading, RSI, body combine, trend lines, many more stuff. But how do they make money? Very simple. They have a plan in most cases. The plan, what is a plan? It's what we always ask you guys. What's the plan? The plan could be strict R ratio. Whenever people talk about trading, they always say, oh, what's the RR returns? What's the R ratio? What they mean is that how do you risk and ensure that no matter what happens, even though you have a 40% win rate, you'll always make money. Put it this way, if I were to play with you heads and tails right now, and the heads and tails, whenever you win, I win $1. And whenever you win $1. It's a fair game, right? But your strategy only works 40% of the time. And my strategy works 60%. So by default, I will always win you, because when we play 10 rounds of it, I will be $2 more than you, right? You will lose $2 because the whole game set is 10. Right? You only win 4 times, I win 6 times, because your strategy works out 40%. So in order for you to make money, right, even though your strategy is 40%, you should have a game that is rigged against the other party. So let's just say that every time you win $3. Every time I win only $1. You will only win 40% time, but I will win 60%, which means I win more. But because I don't have what we call a strict R ratio in such a trading sense, what happens? What do you think is the long run that will happen to you? You win 4 times 3, 12. I win 6 times 1. In the end of the day, right, you will still beat me even though you have a lower winning rate. That's called RR ratio. So strict R ratio is that sense. So that's number one, how these traditional guys make money and some gurus swear by it. The other version of how they do it is that they have what we call strict risk management. If you have $100 with you right now today, do you throw $100 into a trade? Or do you use $10 only? If you just throw $100 in a trade, that is not called trading in the stock market. That is called gambling. Whereas if you use only $10 each time, you're risking about 10% each trade. The worst case will happen to you if you follow a strong risk management is that you will only lose $10 at maximum, which means you have 9 more chances to trade, right? So this is what people don't do when they first enter the markets. They've never been taught before how to trade the markets. They don't know how to do this kind of stuff. They just throw everything in. They think, oh, I asked them, what's your R ratio? What's the risk level? I don't know. I mean, how the hell do you not play the markets? And how the hell does a broker even allow you to place a trade without a proper margin call? No, then the next moment you hear this thing, margin call, which is what Jasmine wrote earlier. And after that, what happened to your account? You lose the entire account. So that's the second point of how these people make money. They have very strict engagement methods. The third way to do it is that they have what we call strict setups. So for example, if you were to know that this method, they always enter, let's say breakout methods, and you always buy in a breakout, and the market always goes against you, you know, oh, if the market keeps going up against me every time I buy, even though I feel like buying because I'm being FOMO to buy as a retailer, maybe I should wait for a retest. Or maybe I should wait for another signal, like a drop in the zone again, before I enter again. And maybe I need to wait for my RSI, another indicator, to say buy, because it must go into the oversold zone, even though it's a buy signal. So these are what we call using a certain strategy and maintaining it. So you must have like A, B, C, and D must align before you take a trade. If you do that itself, and you have to figure it out yourself in most cases, what works for you, this is how you ensure that you have a method that's constantly stable. So if you know that your method only gives you 40% of the time, guess what? It's going to happen 40% of the time, 10 years down the road, or maybe 5 years down the road, the same, right? So if you use R ratio for that, and you have a certain engagement rules, right? Just, okay, since most of you guys are doing marketing, right? You know that there's a certain outcome of how much engagement you do if you spend this amount of money. So if you spend an amount of money plus you run a certain ads another way, you probably get a higher ratio, or how much more captured quality leads you get. So the same for us. When we take a trade itself, we don't just rely on one revenue itself. Don't rely on one method itself. You actually have a bunch of different strategies running together concurrently, right? Before you take a certain trade. So a few things must align, then you take a trade. Then here comes another point that a lot of you guys don't make money, will struggle at the start, is that you don't pre-plan your trades. For us in the professional scene, when we're playing with like $100,000 account, $1 million accounts, right? How do you explain to your boss if you lose 100,000 next day? If you can explain it because it makes sense for the loss, you're fine. But if you don't know why you lost the money, you're fired. So everything that we do must have a certain sense, and it must be pre-justified already. We know when's our maximum risk and when's our maximum profits to take. But for most retailers out there, or people who never traded before, they just run in and they don't even put protection at all. So this is how those traditional guys make money. They pre-plan everything, right? They pre-plan. And they have a fixed stop loss and fixed gain area. They don't have to go for the maximum gain or maximum loss. You just plan ahead. Then comes the last point. Emotionless and full technical trading reasons to take trade. You enter because you know the signal is there. You don't enter because your friends say you buy. You don't enter because you want to, you say, oh, I heard this stock is good, and you never do any research at all. You need full reasons to enter without your emotions clouding you. And this is how these traditional folks make money. So I read down the maths here, the 1-to-1 ratio and 3-to-1 ratio in terms of the dollars. If you follow 1-to-1, you always lose as a retailer. But if you follow 3-against-1, you might win. Right? We are making things simple, so I don't include any other stuff like commissions, spreads, holding fee, transfer fee, etc. When you transfer money there, you have to pay bank fees and stuff like that. These are stuff that I took out from these calculations. We want to keep things simple. So most of you will say, if it's so simple, then shouldn't I be making more money? Well, here's the truth. Look at the screen right now in front of you. This is taken from a 2019 report itself. Majority of you who engage in such activities will lose it all. We're looking at about an average of about 70 to 91% on average. This is based on UK's law. Ever since they came out with this law, Many brokers have shifted offshore to Bahamas and all the other places to trade. So the numbers actually are a lot higher. Right? At first, they start with ASIC, they move to ASIC, which is Australia side. Eventually, they move on to Bahamas and all the offshore. And these are regulated places. Let me emphasize again, these are regulated places. There's a lot of other scams running in the background as well. Right? You probably hear your friends losing money or doing some sweet trading or investment, nickel trading, stuff like that. Those are the other scams that people are losing. So the numbers is actually a lot higher. And most of these people who engage in this activity think they're smart. They think, oh, I follow this guru, I follow this trader, and this and that, I should make money. Guess what? The numbers don't add up this way. I should not surprise. Right. So what's the problem about this so-called traditional trading? They focus mainly on price. Your price on the charts can be manipulated in a way where, as an institution player, right, you know what we do? We'll push your price to a certain point that if you know you're using a certain settings like your 200 cross, 50 cross 200 MA, we know the retailers will react. They will push the price to ensure that your screen has a signal. Then they crash the market against you. Or they make sure that they sell against you to the point you think it's going to crash, then they reduce the market against you. We can literally pre-plan everything in advance and print the chart for you, and you don't even know about it. Because it's all lagging. We know that what settings you're using. Most of you are too lazy to adjust the indicators to your own advantage. You use what's defaulted as so-called the market best. And often, when a good signal reversal comes about and you start chasing the markets, your stop loss is too wide. So let me just give you let me re-explain that again in a more technical term, right? So let's assume this right now. I'm going to disable this first. Let me just show you on the basic chart. Right, this is nothing fancy about this chart. Okay, most retailers will think that this is what we call a hammer reversal. Means the pattern comes down, there's hammer, it goes up, right, after a big drop. Technically, this is a so-called technically a right signal. If you look at the past, usually at the bottom you get this to be hammer, right? You get a doji or hammer. This is like a shooting star or little hammer. We call this reversal pattern hammer. But look what's happening today right now, live. This is live chart, by the way. This is live markets. A hammer has formed, but where's the market going? Down again. Isn't it supposed to be going up? Because we know that you guys are not buying to push it. The reason why we know that today is not a reversal is because there is no astrological and dimension support today. I mean, just telling you the answers from time traders' point of view. You can see that, oh, shouldn't it be going up? What about here? Engulf the pattern, shouldn't it be going up? Yeah, went up, then go down again. One day comes in, everything wiped out. Your TA will not work for the real markets. This is a US market, FYI, the main index. This is Dow Jones US 30. All right? Okay, anyone wants anything? Nothing to add? Okay, so what happens is this, as I was saying about the whole lagging indicators. So this is one classic example today. Hammer, supposed to go up, right? But what happened? It went down again after a big drop. One example of a failed retail strategy. Get it? Shall we, let's move on to something else. Still going down, yes, it's still going down. We are really biased, is bearish. It's going to be bearish for now 2 days at least, 1 or 2 days. All right. We have by the way, we have a BMM signal today already, so we issued BMM. So anywhere above this line is a buy, anywhere below this line is a sell. This is the answer. Just to let you know for non-financial advice. All right, we already this is what we call zone strategy on the sub-dimension factors. I'll explain that later. I know you guys are. I suspect. Lynette, are you a trader? Or have you traded before? I think you're traded before, right? Okay, then I'm going to move on. So let's go back to our presentation. So basically, right now they print stuff that will happen to you. And we know your reaction. Most of you will say buy, right? FOMO, buy in. And sometimes the breakout is too big. You chase in the trade. What happens? You say, oh, this is a good trade. By the time you see a reaction here, let's say it went up, right? You only chase at the top. But for us, we're already all preparing to buy at the bottom here already. Which means that the distance of your risk, our risk is this amount. But if you trace here, what happens to your risk? This is your risk. As you lose more profits because you chase, your risk of losing money gets bigger. This is what we call FOMO effects of trading. And we use this area here as a ratio. So if you want to make money with this, you need a similar ratio, right? Your ratio to take profit to make it fair in terms of gambling is 1:1, right? Let's say it's 1:1 ratio. But for us, if you were to chase and we only risk like this compared to you, by the time you get the same area here, we have a 1:3 on the same place as you, whereas you have only a 1:1. So what happens to you in the long run? You'll still lose money because you don't know when the market is going to reverse, but we know. All right. So that's what we call how we measure risk. So let's continue again. So, as I mentioned before, your traditional methods are mostly focused on the time aspects of the markets. There's nothing wrong to stick to traditional, by the way, right? But I already explained to you why these guys make money, how they make money, and statistics don't lie. Most of you will not succeed if you choose the traditional method of trading. Most of you will not succeed, and that's the sad truth. And some people think we're crazy. So, because of this thing itself, I knew that there's a better way on how to go about it. And anything that challenges an idea, right? Just like your radio itself, how your radio is invented. With any changes comes excitement and fear. People will mock you. People think we're crazy. People think we're scam. And then yet there's another group of people in this industry who actually want to hear what we're doing. There's also a belief system and disbelief. People believe that what we say is true. Some people think that what we say is complete rubbish. We don't doubt you at all, right? But what makes an idea work? It's very simple. For any innovations that especially challenges a so-called a mass consciousness, is that it must have a consistent data output. There must be certain fixed parameters of measurement with rules involved, and it must be tested over a period of time. Because what happens to us in the early days is that some people say, oh, you time traders are lucky because you play the market when Donald Trump's around. And we say, no, it's nothing to do that. Show us a track record. So back then in our days, we don't have enough track record to showcase our stuff. But now, when we go into the institution itself, we say, here's our previous track record. Challenge us. They listen. Why? Because number 3 is really important. And number 4, peer review. Whenever we do anything in the markets, we have witnesses. Not 1%, not 2%, we have thousands of people who are watching us. Whether they are professionals, retailers, or something, it's all there, right? So, doesn't this sound familiar about the whole stuff about inventions? Let's look at a case of the radio itself. When this guy called Marconi, he said, I can put data wirelessly in the air. His friends thought it's crazy back in the 1900s. And they actually locked him up to get him evaluated in the mental hospital. And guess what happens? If he actually didn't challenge the status quo of the technology back then, we will not have the radio right now. Likewise, when we put the idea of time trading into markets, it's the same thing, right? So I just want you guys to actually have understanding behind this. So if you follow tradition, now let's compare. If you follow traditional trading itself, you are bound to get about 30 to 60%. And these numbers that we showcase to you here is done with a 200-year study of the markets. It's not numbers that we take out in the air. 200 years of studies, which means that whatever strategies that have been taught out there that you think will work, we have tested this for 200 years or more. So what you guys are taught out there is the things on left. However, for time trading itself, right, if you take the same study or same market duration, you'll probably get the things on the right side. So I'm going to ask the retailer once again. You recognize the stuff on the left, right? But have you ever recognized the things on the right side? If you know any of those things on the right side, say yes, you've seen before. Any of those terms, any of them. For the retailers here. Any of you? New to you? Who else? The rest of the retailers? Etc. What do you mean? Oh yeah, there's a lot more than that. New to them? Okay, great. So any more retailers? Retailers means that these guys are trading in markets, but they are not professionals. They're called retailers. You only know etc. Fine. It's okay. What about the rest? Anyone? Any more retailers? 1, 2. Anyone else? New to you as well. Okay, thanks for the retailers for replying. Okay, I'm going to assume that most of you probably don't even know any of this stuff at all. It's fine. Why is it so that these retailers don't know? Okay, let me ask the question in reverse. For the retailers here, Do you know the things on the left side here? At least some of them, one or two of those things at least. If you do, just say yes. Yes, right? For the retailers. So why are you guys given the lousy shit? Why are you guys using things that are not working? But you know about those things, it's a whole topic about it. It's because these are kept away from you guys. The stuff that we do is not meant for the public. There is a scam going on in the whole entire world right now. We call it market Ponzi. And it's actually designed by the elites. I have to say it. It's actually designed by elites. They give you a system that lets you play, but you must follow very strict rules. That's why some people say that, oh, I make 20% a year. Then people say, oh, that's very good already. I'm like, yeah, right. You know what I mean? And how many of you are told that, oh, if the returns are like 20% a year is good? How many of you actually bought into that kind of a stupid idea? Especially the governments are talking about it. They say, oh, too high also might be scam, or usually scam. Then you have another group of traders or investors, that AIs, where they're given this opportunity to make like 50% a month, or let's just say 20% a month. And yet you're told 20% return is good. Then you buy into those stupid insurance. You know those insurance, they say this so-called saving money plan. Have you not asked yourself this question? If the insurance can pay you money 10 years later, you put, let's say, $10,000 and you get back $16,000, maybe about 5 years later, for example. And you can still pay the agent to do it for you. Then how come these guys are still making a lot of money? Do you know what's the reality check about it? If you give them $10,000, they'll probably make $50,000 from there. They only give you back $6,000 with your money and the $10,000. Or they can make more than $50,000 over the same period of time. And they give you back the companies. Is it a computer algorithm how you crack it? Very simple. I'll show you later. Answer, Chris. All right. So I'm just giving you the whole thing now. So for those of you think that we got a damn good plan because you buy your friend insurance, guess what? You've been scammed already. So how does this work? The algorithm behind it. I'm going to showcase some of the screenshots first before I show the actual program. Number one, when we talk about time analysis trading, we're actually looking at the correlations behind the latest tree of the world, right? What do I mean by latest tree of the world? Basically, there's two kinds of calculation, two main kinds of calculation. One's called geocentric, the other called heliocentric point of view. For most of the activities that we calculate from is based on what we call geocentric point of view, which means from the Earth point of view. And we are studying between the correlations of the gravitational forces between two objects in the sky at all times. So things are, any astrologers here about aspects? Anyone do astrology? You should know about what I'm talking about when I say aspects. So we do look into what we call a transition of solar houses. We look at the aspects of markets as well. Oh, yeah, astrologer, great. So I'm going to repeat again. We do consider things like the transitions of the aspects, such as your conjunctions, your oppositions. We do consider things like a transition of solar houses. We also do look into some of the characteristics of horoscope behaviors through the natastry of the thing. And we actually do something called synastry itself, whether it's geocentric or heliocentric itself. So that's one of the ways to do it. And we don't just use the standard astrology, we actually use Uranian astrology and more. All right, good. So at least someone here understands what I'm talking about. Then, for those of you who understand astrology itself and laws of harmonics, there's something called a Wheel of 24, where Gann actually designed one of these charts. We can literally type a data point in. We can compute when the next reaction point of the markets are using numbers itself and a bit of astrology. We can literally calculate the path movements of two planets, and we know what numbers will appear in the markets. This is another one. It's called a Wheel of 24. And as time traders itself, we can take an empty chart. Can you see here? We can take two empty points in the chart, and we can project a certain dimension. Because once we do time trading itself, you are seeing beyond the two dimensions. What are the dimensions? Your price and time, right? But we see things up to 12 dimensions or more in the markets. That's why we can take an empty space like this. We can project the market energy out. And somehow or another in the future, it matches the same. Why is there reaction points on those places? This is how we study the hidden dimension of charts. What else? We can then cut the market into secret geometries. And we can actually make the market go to both the male and the female aspects. Yes, there's actually male and females into geometries as well, right? Make it easy for you. The females represent the curve. That's why you guys are curvy in shape for the ladies. And the males are more macho, the B, right? They are more straight in line. But what if you combine these two aspects together? When you combine these two answers together, That is why most trend lines do not work, because the trend lines for traditional works on purely the middle aspect, but they don't consider what we call the polygon aspects of the markets, right? So that's why you see a certain curve in the markets, and suddenly markets will just blindly react, because that's what we call a female aspects in markets. Then, because we know the data and we can project the data harmonics in the future, we can then pinpoint to you which day in the future something will happen. And we put in the lines like this. So we say, oh, empty lines is going to happen. So because of this thing itself, and we look at more transit data, we can then plot future events. Can you see the market is not formed yet, but we really know the data of when it will happen on the empty charts itself. That itself, with these results itself, we actually did this over the years. In 2020 itself, we have an average break-even and win rate of 88%, 88.571%. Our 2021 results is actually 81% win rate with a 9.76% break-even and 8.94% loss. Our R ratio is 95:1, which means that for every $95 we earn, we only lose $1. That's for 2021. This year, right now, as of the latest update, which I put here is 8 September, we are currently sitting at about 92.42% win rate, 3% break even, and a 4.55% loss. Our ratio right now for this year is sitting at about 33 to 34 R/1. That is how time traders do the work. Have you ever, for those of you who are doing retail, is this kind of results crazy? And you know the best part? We actually give this away all for free. We're literally giving away all this for free to the public. Any retailers? Have you seen results like this before? We will show you the banks, and that's how we get instantly hired. All right. So now we're doing this for free. I'll show you the track record later, the detailed track record. So how does it look like? How does it look like in a professional program like Optima? Right. So one of the programs I use, the one you're seeing right now, is called the Optima program. This is what we call planetary line cycles. We actually know the planetary lines of the markets. Right now it's dropping. If this line continues dropping, you could see S&P going to around 3,600 for those of you who are doing retail. It could go to 3,600 in maybe next 1-2 weeks. I don't know yet, but that's a possibility because it's very confirmed drop already. You look at the last area here, same area here. The reaction points of support might be 3,610. Non-financial advice, right? So then the Bitcoin itself. Also, we also know when the Bitcoin. How do I think I know about Bitcoin last year not going 100K? Very simple. Same area again. We use the planets to calculate. The two areas are three different planets, right? We calculated 3 different planets. We actually found a correlation. The answer lies in the closing price. As you can see here, the price shot through the planets, but they actually cracked down and closed below. We knew from that day onwards on the 10th November, the markets will never go 100K for Bitcoin. It will never go 100K since last year already. We told those guys, buy at 30,000, 30 plus thousand. Why? Because you can see the next area here is over here, 33,000. Look at when the market reacted. Then people bought, told our boys to buy, but the market once again came to Mercury. Mercury couldn't hold it up. It crashed and cut through. And why I'm concerned right now is because this is the second time. This is for those of you holding Bitcoin. This is the second time it has challenged right now, today. I'm actually very concerned about Bitcoin right now. Because if this fails to hold, the next move for Bitcoin, there's a high possibility, based on my calculation on the major cycles, is that the next price of Bitcoin could be as low as here. About $600. $400 to $600 next, according to the planetary cycles. Of course, we can use other stuff to find the midpoints as well, but I'm using the major energy for this, right? And so far, my major energy has been spot on without fail, spot on all reversal points. One example is on the 24th January. Next example is somewhere around the 24th February, exactly 1 month is a scam. And the re-challenge line here, why the market is going to sideways market is because the big boys are deciding what the fuck should they do to you guys over here. This is why they're fighting, because of Mercury itself. The fight started on the 11th April. They made the final decision on the 21st April to crash Bitcoin further. We can actually know what they're doing in advance. We really know the price already. So why I'm concerned, as I mentioned, is because the major support of Bitcoin here, the planets failed to break through, especially with the emotions of the moon over here. they failed to break through. There's not enough energy to break through here. It means the Bitcoin stay flush. The Bitcoin stay flush. And true enough, the market flushed. Whole flush to when? Mercury. Mercury is the last hope for Bitcoin right now, as according to our study chart on this. It's the last hope. And today, I don't know if you guys are lucky or not, it's here. I'm watching the closing price today. If it closes below here, we're screwed. You know what I mean? So I'm very concerned right now. So the lowest point that I think I might let go more of my Bitcoin is here. 17,399 is probably the lowest over here. Right? So for those of you holding in Bitcoins, now you know the answer. I'm very concerned about this price. About here, plus minus. So that is the planetary lines of calculation using the again planetary lines strategy. Then we also have what we call the cycle. This is what we call dimension multiplier strategy, where we use the again projection energy, and we can calculate the different planetary interaction. You look at the boxes, right? If you look at the boxes properly, you can see that how the market drops. Right? They all follow the certain planets. They don't follow the market, the normal technicals. They follow by the planets. Like for example, this brown box here, it dropped here. Why did this drop? Because the planet came here. We knew the planet came, and the next moment, 4 days later, market collapsed. That's why I use high and low. If you look at my charts, right, we always have this breakout strategy. That's how we calculate one of the drops. We know the dates already. We know the before, we know the after, and we know the futures as well. I got all the future dates listed here, including all here right now. You can see the dates are here. I listed everything already. So that's what makes us different, is because we know when the reaction will appear. We know when it happened. We can tell which day already. We may not tell the price exactly. Sometimes we know the price, sometimes we don't, but we know the days. Right? So the wheel of 24 I was telling you about. And of other wheels calculation harmonics, we also have different kinds of calculation using different dimension strategies. Yes, geometric is part of it. So I'm going to explain you how time trading works. Okay, so back to my chart again, my proper slides. So now you get a glimpse of how we actually do it. That is why our results is not a surprise to anyone else, isn't it? Sacred geometry is part of it. It's under the law of harmonics. So with the simple maths of what we do, what do you think time traders are taught the legs? Very simple. Imagine this thing. Our win rates on average is about 80%, 90%. And we're using R ratio 3. So let's just say that we are using 80% right now. Simple maths. Every time we win $3. Every time we lose $1, right? Which means that if we do 10 trades, we only lose $2, but we gain $24. So in 10 trades, we are $22 ahead. For those of you who are using the standard traditional methods, you will win lesser. You win maybe a bit lesser, right? You only win 4 times, lose 6 times. But even though you use the same maths, when you put in the long run, you only win $6. But for us, we make $22 already. We still have losses. It's not that we got 100%. I'm trying to work towards a 100% win rate right now. I'm trying to do the impossible. Right? I've been trying. Last year, 80%. This year, 92% so far. I'm trying to push 100 right now. I've been trying very hard really to do 100%. But can you understand why it's so hard to kill us? Because look at our overall gains. Even though it's slightly better, ratio the same, but our win rate differences makes a big difference. That's why we are moving 4 times faster than the average trader, at least. Understand? So for those of you who have never seen this before, or those of you who traded before, how do you feel right now? How do you feel? How do you feel? Those of you who never, I know the new traders or those who never seen before, you'll be scared. It's normal, like I say. Our usual clients are institutional people, professionals, and very rarely we get retailers or this and that coming in, because this is the same charts that I showcase to the banks, right? So it's okay if you feel if you feel scared or something like that. It's okay if you feel that way, right? I can do FX as well, not an issue. It works on FX and all other markets, right? So for those of you, I want to know what about the rest. How do you all feel? Knowing that I'm telling you this now. Do you understand why most of you guys who so-called take a guru class out there, you're losing money? Because the things they're teaching you, half of them are rubbish. So you have to move beyond the traditional if you want to make it in this industry. Right? So for those for the retailers, how do you feel? Come on. One person say complicated. What else? What else? What else? Some Jasmina say, no, I know why I'm not supposed to. Obviously, because I only deal with institution softwares. This is what the big boys use. You're feeling scared, okay? So, I'll tell you later about the markets later, all right? I know the dates already. I'll tell you what's the reversal dates. So let's start with our little quick review right now. So, in time trading alone itself, is split into 3 subcategories. Some of these traders, or what we call the traditional traders or retailers, right? They say, oh, I got an advantage over the rest of the markets. I got financial astrology. Then I'm like, okay, you know financial astrology. Then I ask you, what do you know next? I look at the moon phase. I say, okay, what else? That's about it. Huh? I'm like, there's a big topic out there, but you only know how to do moon only. Moon's an advantage. You know, I used to laugh at them, but then, so what we found out eventually over the years is that, right, when I start doing time trading officially in 2019 itself, is that there are 3 sub-schools in time trading alone. That's why I call it time trading, not financial trading or financial astrology. So what are the 3 sub-sections? Very basically, there's a financial astrology component. Then there's something what we call market harmonics. Then we have what we call time technicals on dimension analysis. So market harmonics is more to do with maths itself, wave theory and maths. Right? Some people say it's a little bit like quantum field, kind of about it, but there's some science behind the maths behind this science stuff. The one that I specialize in is in dimension, and I pre-specialize in financial astrology. So even for myself, I've been doing this for a few years, right? I specialize in the 1 and 3. I don't do so much. I don't do as much on harmonics. But my quant is better at harmonics than me. Now he knows how to calculate it up better than me. So these are the 3 subcategories itself in time trading. So because of this thing you do, I just want to say a few stuff that we do right now. Is that everything you do is live, right? So just a quick one, how we make money, very simple. Forecasting, whenever I say prediction forecasting, is that what we do is that we give free signals. For example, June 21st year, then June 24th, this year, we do it for free. Thousands of people are watching us all the time. So just tell the signal, buy this or sell this, 3 days later, make money. So this one example that we make money for people. So what happened in the same trade, the same trade, another trade here. Over here, we tell people in advance, right? You can see here, we already tell people in advance. 21st, you see, right? You can see the date here, 21st, 20th, 21st, one direction go all the way up. How the hell do we really know already? We can even tell you the end date. We say end on 29 June, 21st June to 29 June or 5th. I already got the two data points. I made the call on the 21st. So I tell people buy, right? Then 24th, some of the targets hit. Some of the targets hit 24th. Then after what happened? Goes here, energy expire. So when we talk about time trading, right, our terms have changed already. We start using the words things like energy expiry and this and that, because it's what we call dimension shifting. So this is just one example. So what's funny is that when this move came, we are already talking about this move since the 14th June. Mind you, this is all done this year live. This is all done this year. 14th June, already talking about it already. So you can see that thousands of people once again. 14th June, cycle date, 14 to 20, 21. Then after that, major cycle, right? So before this was here, after. How do you know since the 14th? Then we can talk about this already. This is time trading abilities, right? So this is one example of swing trading. Then we have what we call intraday scalping itself. What we call mini energies. So for example, this was a trade done in October. I think it was 2 years ago. One example, because I don't do scalping anymore. This one example, 26 October, same day, morning, 6 a.m. By the time 10 p.m. the same day, market move, sudden crash. Right, so we forecast this. This 2 years ago. I used to do scalping, and because of signal like this that we gave for free to those people who follow us, these are some of the accounts that they took their trade that day that these people make money live on the day. Just say buy or sell, they all go within that few hours. And the reason why you can see this thing, enter me 100 points, this and that, right? Why I show it to you is because we have people who have been following us for a while. And why I featured the first person I featured is the lady, is because the lady itself, right, can do this as well. Singaporean lady, properly very well. Right? She just say, attended many courses, this class is far superior than all the other programs you have taken, right? Because no one's teaching this. So there are also slow trades, right? So this is what some of you guys like value investing. And some people say, hey, value investors this year, for those of you who are doing value investing, how much money have you lost this year, the last 2 years? Because all the value investors this year all died. Last 2 years, the value investors all died. I'm telling you that. What we see in the new trend is that the people who are coming to us right now are value investors. And so the first question I ask is, how much money have they lost? This is the first question I ask. As long as they tell me value investors, the question I ask, how much money have they lost? The reason why is because value investors, like you say, they use fundamentals most of the time. The last 2-3 years has proven to them that they cannot use fundamentals at all. That's why they all lost. But we still use a little bit of time trading and so-called fundamentals points, and we caught this massive trade last year. Over here, 24th September 2021, 21st October 2021. We did this for 1 month. As an investor itself, most of them they hold between 1 month to one or 2 years. That's what most investors do. But you need big account for investing, right? So if you are the kind of guy who like hold and walk away, well, time trading can be used for that as well. So what was that trade? Well, we use something what we call a CT zone strategy in a dimension multiplier area, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And we knew the dates on the CT point and breakout was here. We entered the trade early, right? We entered the trade quite early, but the real signal came only on the October itself, 1st October. And the market went into a rally. One shot, $14,000 is made. Less than a month. So we already gave the signal before, after. Once again, in front of thousands of people. This back then we are not as popular, so it's only 1,100 plus people. Right? So this was the trade that we issued. So for those of you who've been watching us or were watching this first time, how do you feel right now about such prediction that we made before, after, and everything was in line? And it's not done by 1 or 2 persons, it's done in front of thousands of people. How do you feel about this whole stuff? Are you mind blown that this can be done? And then you take a sip of water first. For the rest of you here, are you guys feeling lost already? Just I don't want to abandon the new guys. So how do you, for those of you who are new, are feeling lost? Have you guessed it? Okay. That's not sure. Follow me. I always tell people challenge me, right? When I pop up before. Well, now you know I'm here already. All right. So let's move on. Remember our agreement. Just keep an open mind first, right? Whatever I'm telling you right now, let it come in first. If you want to discard it, please discard it at the end of the webinar. Right. So just keep an open mind. I'm showing you whatever I'm showing you exactly from a quant's point of view. All right. So why did I go into this field? Very simple. In 2017, when I first heard of this concept of time trading itself, so I started my journey in 2017. I thought I was going crazy because my trading experience started as far back as 2008. And guess what? I'm like you guys, I lost consecutively for 10 years, right? 10 years. I lose a lot of money. I even went bankrupt. So-called bankrupt. I wasn't declared bankrupt, but I went in debt, very big debt. So only in 2017 itself, I came across this idea. And I realized that the old farts, right? These guys like JP Morgan, isn't that right? They all talk about this whole idea of astrology and time itself. And I started looking into all these terms. So I came across these 2 terms. The one of the most famous saying is this for JP Morgan. So you guys probably know about JP Morgan. They said this thing: the millionaires don't use astrology, the billionaires do. Can you meet the person? All right. I repeat again, according to JP Morgan, the millionaires don't use astrology, the billionaires do. Why? Because when JP Morgan first made $1 million, he came out to say this thing. Right? And of course, he's regarded as America's greatest banker. So that got me intrigued already. In fact, JP Morgan loved the idea of astrology so much that if you go into go to New York, there's actually what we call a JP Morgan New York library. And the top of the library there is dedicated to astrology. So you can actually visit this place in New York right now. It's still around, right? If you want to go visit, you can go Google it later. Then came another person, Donald T. Reagan. Ronald Reagan, not the Reagan president, but the other guy, right? So there's this other guy called Ronald Reagan. He is the secretary, right, of the United States. I need this thing. He's what we call the secretary of the United States. And he said this thing: it is common knowledge that a large percentage of Wall Street brokers use astrology. Common knowledge. This guy is dead really by now. Why the hell are people like him, people in power, saying so much about astrology? Which means that there's something about this thing that works, isn't it? Suddenly I did this mistake. And further on down the road, we even have reports by so-called the Feds, right? The Fed Reserve. So FETS reserves itself, there's one main command, so-called the main board, right? Central FETS. They also have multiple sub-FETS around it. It's about 12 branches, if not wrong, in US alone. And there's even a report, if you go and see the report study here, right? 51 pages of report talking about astrological events, geometrical storms affecting markets. They actually launched a report in 2003. So you can go and challenge my citation is there if you want to. It's from the FETS itself. So this is one of the branch of the FETS, and they came out with this report under the research studies. So how does astrology work? If you ever study astrology, I know that there's an astrologer here right now. So Carol, you said you do astrology, right? So it's every single thing I point here right now accurate. Regards to the sun, regards to the moon, regards to the Mars, everything's correct, right? So every single planet can be written out into multiple meanings. You can literally write an entire book on one planet alone. I repeat, one planet alone, you can write an entire book. But for the time training components, we actually filter the meanings down as short as possible. So things like Pluto means death and rebirth, Jupiter is an expander, Saturn is constrictor. The one that everybody likes to talk about is Uranus. And you know what's the fastest way of remembering Uranus? You know, Uranus, if you break the thing down, it's called your anus, right? So how to remember your anus? Look at the sign. Look at this hole here. That's an asshole. So whenever you see a sign like this, you can see there's a hand here and the asshole is at the bottom. And what does Uranus represent? It represents the truth, because the truth is always a pain in the ass. That's one way to remember it. One of the easiest way to remember Uranus, right? The other way to remember Saturn is this thing. Saturn's rings are like the constrictor. They constrict. It's all about disciplines at all. So to remember what about Saturn's meaning is the constrictor, Saturn. The rings is constrict you. Jupiter is the expander. Mars is basically macho, you know, the male sign, female sign is Venus. Unfortunately, for time trading itself, Venus is also regarded as a money planet, right? And in regards to the female sign. So these are some of the ways of how we actually remember the charts. But what's not discussed here, and probably Carol doesn't even know about this, is that there's something called Uranian astrology. Do you know about this, Carol? Heard about this before? Cupid, Hades, Zeus, Kronos, Emitters. No, never right. Most astrologers will not derive into Uranian astrology. And now, the time trading components has actually gone into Uranian astrology as well. We are working heavily on this research now because we found more evidences of higher accuracy when we follow Uranian astrology, FYI. Right? So this is our current research we are working on right now. So if you're curious to see how it looks like on my screen, very simple. Let me show it to you. There's actually, apart from the standard astrology, here's standard astrology, right? Right now in the sky, go to now, NOW, at this timing. If you go to Uranian astrology, you can open this up here. It gets a lot more complicated. You get your different moons, asteroids, this and that. You can also look into major asteroids like Chiron, this and that. Over here, you could also look at your nodes. You can look at different points, different planets. There's also a lot more stuff you can see. In fact, there's so much points of interest on all these little items that there's actually more than 2,000 astrological data points over here. You can see this whole slide here. So for us, when we study, we want to find out what works and what is likely to happen. There's actually more than 2,000 objects out there, more than 2,000. You can see here, all the different codes. But the ones that are more influential are the ones given proper Greek names, like Fortuna, stuff like that. So I'm looking at Fortuna right now as well. I'm studying Fortuna. So just give you an idea that there's more than just the surface astrology alone. Right? There's something called Uranian astrology. Hope this opens your astrological minds as well for those of you doing astrology. So with that said, this is some of the place of consideration that we look for in terms of the markets and how we calculate. But let's bring about some quick examples right now for trading. Very quick examples of moon trading. 1 or 2 examples of moon trading. So moon itself, very simple. It's ruled by this horoscope called Cancer. The moon's job is what we call the magnifier, emotional magnifier. It's known as a mother in the solar system, right? In ancient times, they say the father is the sun, the mother is the moon. That's why I say mother moon, the emotional one. The kind of energy that the moon associates with is what we call the nurture, the needy, the protective, and oversensitivity and insecurity. Guess what? Not the word magnifier. There are two emotions in the markets for those of you trading. So what are the two emotions in the markets, my dear retailers? You will see these two emotions all the time. What are two emotions? Yes, and since I sold little retailers here, okay, now Johnny, you say there's greed and fear. Both of them are emotions. So how does this whole idea work? What's the science behind all this? Well, thoughts and not thoughts, okay, fine. So what is the science behind all this? Very simple. I'm going to repeat again. There are two kinds of energy in the market, in the world right now, when it comes to astrology. There's what we call gravitational interaction energy, where you have two magnetic points, right? You know, the two magnets, right? At one point, you just stick together, right? So those are gravitational energy. The second type of energy that you will experience is called luminaries. So there's only one luminary planet, according to science, which is the sun. But actually, the moon itself, being so close to Earth, reflects light. Therefore, the moon to planet Earth is also a luminary body. It's just like your light shining on you, right? Whether you can sleep or not easily. So those are the two energy points. So then how does it affect you as a person? Why do you get more emotional? Very, very straightforward answer. If there's no moon on planet Earth, there's no what? There's something that the moon controls on planet Earth. Without it, something will not happen. There's no moon, there's no what. Please do your primary 4 science. Heights, right? So what are tides made of? What are tides made of? Water. Not tides, gravity don't make no tides, okay, but it's fine. So if water exists and the moon moves it, how many percentage of your body is made of water? How many percentage of your body is made of water? Yeah, gravitational pull. It's about 70%, right? So that influences tides. The moon itself influences you, whether like it or not. You get more emotional during this period, whether it's full moon or new moon. And it's actually clearly seen in markets. If you look at multiple cultures around the world, whether you have mooncake festivals, whether you look into all the so-called the praying periods of certain religions, they're all talking about the moon. Have you not wondered why? Because the moon makes people emotional. It unites people, right? What's the moon story? That the two beings, one of them got enlightenment, and the other one, and they can only meet on moon period only. If you look at the Japan culture, there's also a similar festival. About if that day rains, they cannot meet. I forgot what the festival called already. If you look at those tribes around the world, different tribes around the world, they always so-called moon dance around the moon, because they get together on an emotional day. It influences people. Likewise, when the moon magnifies your emotions, they magnifies how you feel. So if you hate somebody, guess what happens? You hate the person even more on full moon. If you love someone, you get more lovey-dovey on a full moon. It's pretty normal, because you really love somebody, you just get magnified, the feelings. That's why people always give you a scene about some couples going for a walk on a full moon night. And they say, oh, it's so romantic. It's not. It's because you're being magnified by the feelings of the moon. And the same as how the institutions work, the mental institutions work. When there's a full moon when there's a full moon day, usually institutions are more on guard because they're more crazy people. Why? Because if you're crazy, it means you're mentally unstable. The mental instability is a form of emotions. So if your full moon comes in, you are more mentally unstable. It's all emotions right now. And likewise, you can see it on the market as well. So before I show you on the market itself, there's actually reports by the bank that talk about this. This is one example of equity research team, 2010, they came up with this research. You can, once again, citation is here. So it's not just me who's saying this thing, but the banks themselves are doing it. And we have trading strategies built on the moon cycle. I stopped teaching this already because I found out that the time hour strategy is not as good. But we use something called moon strike system. And this is how we actually take the trades. Like, once again, this is a small group back then, right, about 2 years ago, when we first launched. And this is how we take a trade. We took the same trade. I also took the trade as well. And you can see the recovery there. Can you see the amount of FOMO? This is what we call wave 3. But I'm going to ask you this question right now. You know the moon came here, right? And what do you think a report like this is trying to do to you? What do you think a report like this is trying to do to you? We really entered the trade early. But for the retailers here, what do you think when they say something like this? What are they trying to induce to you when they say a report like this? Fear? You sure? Dow Jones such as 450 points, the best day ever since mid-January. S&P closes at another high record. What do you think they're trying to do to you? I don't think it's fear, right? They're trying to induce FOMO to you. As a new trader, when you see a news report like this and you are taught from a young age to what? Respect authority. You get a FOMO effect. You think, oh my goodness, must buy. For the new traders, or those who've never traded before. Isn't it? Guess what? There's a full moon in that period. And what happens next? They push the moon here, and you guys all chase the markets. They crash the market against you. They crash it 5-6 times deeper. And if you don't cut loss, if you're a new trader, you don't cut loss, this is how they eat you alive. Can you see this crash here? The moon was here when it first entered, and it shot up. The news appeared here at this point here. And eventually they destroyed the whole thing. It's a scam. They know that you're emotional. Isn't it? And look at the Bitcoin, for example, October itself. What caused this moon move? There's a doji over here. Can you see this move here? The moon has powered it. Emotions are there. Before, next moment, same chart. When the Mars, Moon, Mercury intersect on direct energy, it was all done by a single move of the moon. Likewise, when you transit this data into Dow Jones itself, can you see what caused a reversal for this move here? The moon. Isn't it crazy? Does it make sense on your technical terms now about your so-called news? Or do they wait for the news to force you to make you want to buy into something? The emotions, energy in the markets are real. And they're being triggered by the moons. You are not immune to this kind of move. So by doing what I do as a time trader, you really know in advance really when the next moves are. In fact, it can be as simple as going to TradingView right now. Let me just show it to you. Let me place my chart. Okay, yeah, here. Right. You go here and find something called moon phase. Can you see that you know all the past moons? Isn't it pretty obvious that something's up the moon and the highs of the markets? Isn't it a bit weird? Look at the low. And these are recent data. Look at the low points. Isn't it a bit weird that big moves usually happens on the moon days? This is no longer a fiction. This is no longer a fiction. It's not fiction already. The data is there. Look at this. What caused a spike? A moon. Emotions runs the market all the time. Right? This is not a scam. This obviously there's an energy behind it. Even look at the current now, NOW. What could be a reason that caused this sudden spike here? There's a moon before. This bar is caused by a moon. Of course, there's another planet behind it. I'm not telling you here now the answer. But the moon is one of them. What causes sudden stabilization? Emotions. Well, before there's energy, right? From the moon here. Moon phase, energy pump. New moon came in, but emotional pump. New moon, the full moon came in, stabilize emotions. Can you see the energy transitions? That's just on the moon. And I said before, if anyone says that they master the moon, they know how to do time trading, they don't know what they're talking about. Can you see the high point here? With the moon alone, you could really catch this move already for 15 days if you waited long enough. But this was triggered by Saturn. That was another planet that triggered this move. Saturn actually did on this day here. I remember all my trades when I issued. That's the thing about me. All the trades that I issued, I remember them. Because my words are very scary to the markets. One move, I move a few $1 million per word, I say. All right. So that's just one example of moon trading. Let me just go back to the slides. So now you see the moon example. What about other planets? Now let's talk about the quick one, Mercury itself. Mercury itself is what we call dual rulership. There's a modern and there's an old ruler, right? So it's Gemini and Virgo itself, double rulers, which means what? One is logical and rational, the other is a trickster. There's the annoying thing about Mercury, right? So whenever Mercury comes to the picture, right, we are on guard for big movements, usually. Because why? 66% of the time, according to our data research, shows that usually a big move happens on a Mercury day. Usually that happens, but not all the time it happens. And because we know that there's this communication, that it affects communication, right? We will often see communication breakdown when Mercury goes into some transits or a big market move. And we take this little idea of Mercury and we translate the dates here. You can see that once again, I issue the trades live and the news to back it up. We can use Mercury to actually forecast movements in advance. And that's how I did the trade this year. This is last year one, where my students made $1,000 in 3 days because we knew the dates. This is another testimony I'm not going to read to you, but this is first came to me, year 2020 itself, within about 2 weeks, $2,000, brand new, right? And the same guy who did this person, Tommy, sent me this video this year. Why? 3 days, $8,000. This is withdrawal from there. $8,000 was withdrawn in 3 days. Same guy, still following me. And not only just him himself, right? Can you see that we did the public as well? We actually told the public in December that January, there will be a big move in January alone. We knew this move 1 month ahead. And when the day come this year, look at the amount of people posting their results. How much money they made in that 2-3 days. Because of this big drop. Because we knew the cycle was there. And that's how we get this kind of results. Can you see the amount of people posting? And this is what we did in 2020. This is the actual results, right? But why look at 2020? Let's look at 2021 onwards. 2021, all trades done live, right? These are results of 2021. That's why I say our returns like this is not a joke. They're all real. Our loss for the entire year is only 700 points. Entire year loss. But our return is 75,000 points. Please find me a trader who can do this, because if you can find anyone who can do this, I'm very interested to follow also. All right. So this is what we do for the public. So what about this year? Well, I'm going to do this year's data chart. So we have this thing called Challenge Us, whereby we actually want you to ask us whether we are legit or not. So we have this section called Pick Any Number. These are all the chart, all the trades we've taken this year so far. They're all given to the public. Most of them are given to the public. So most of these things I can verify. So from here to here, without picking the public, pick a number between 1 to 64. Any number. Don't be an idiot. Any number between 1 to 64. 28? Sure. 28 is based on March 22nd. Right, March 22nd, there was a signal based on the US 500. Okay, so many challenges. Fine. I will verify every single one of them. Okay. So now let's go to my later track record chart. So this is one of the channels that you guys are invited to join in later, if you want to join here. So 28 is 22nd March 2022. So let's go to March right now. Still loading. Okay, not load finish yet. While waiting for the chart to load, let me pick a nearer one. Let's say 47, May 31st. Okay, still not loaded. It's still loading. Still gonna give a while. Why did somebody pick a higher number? Like someone before June. Right? You can see the data point here. My Telegram is still loading. Okay, it's loaded already. I'll pass you guys the link later. Okay, now my May chart's here already. Okay, now I got May already. Good. Finally got May. Great. So 28 is March, right? March, I don't know if it's loaded yet. Let me see if it's loaded. Okay, March not loaded. Let's verify May first. So Carol say 47. 47 is 31st May. So what I'll normally do for the public is this. I'll issue a long statement I used to be more loso, but now I'm quieter. I don't talk as much really. Can't be bothered. Okay. Whenever I do something like official signal like this, it means the trade is issued. So this was done on what time? 12:37 p.m. here, right? So can you verify that this is 12:37 p.m., the same trade? I did not edit any of this thing. It's here, right? Number 47. You see that? What is the number of the entry you entered? 32725. Now, let's go. That's a US 30. Let's go into our charts here. That day is May 31st. So let's move to May 31st. May 31st this year. May 31st. The signal was issued here. And we said what? High and low on the charts. We formed two bars. One breakout here, the other breakout here. You see that? This was a signal. And you can see this drop here after that. That is how we caught a massive trade. Can you see this now? We use the high-low of this zone, the market tanked. That is for 47. Right? In fact, I gave two signals on the day. I gave one on that day and one on the 7th July. The 7th July was prettier. This one, they dropped a bit. They hit one of the target. The number 49 was the one that they caught a big one. Let's see 49 here. 7th June here, we caught a big one. 3,000 plus points over here. For those of you who are curious about it. So there was two drop points because there was a dimension, I think, around here. Here to here is dimension points. There's a dimension here, there's another dimension here. Two energy factors. So that's for 47. Now, 39 is 4th May. Let's go 4th May. 4th May is US 30. Okay, let's pick the time first. 4th of May is here. Ooh la la, look at the high. Same strategy, high and low breakdown. Same strategy. Once again, verify that the trade was done. Let's go to this side here. Let's go 4th of May. Did I send this signal out? I sent it at 10:08. Wait, where is it? 10:08. Now, here's a signal. Can you see? Once again, in front of more than 2,000 people. This is a signal. I also gave the numbers ready. Right? No editing to my charts or my chats. Because Telegram can edit, you can see that it's edited, right? We don't edit. We do not edit our results. It's all live. Once again, where was the trade? See this drop here? 4th of May, high low, breakdown, market collapse. One clean Q. We got the point exactly on the date. So results are verified, right? Any doubts? Any more doubts? Can we move on to the next topics already? Anyone want to put your questions, ask any more questions? If no questions asked, then I'll move on to the next topic, really. Okay, so far? Great. So let's move on. So another thing about time trading is that there's something called a law of harmonics. So one of the time traders in existence is called W.D. Gann himself. And this guy who's dead now, right? He's one of the so-called one of the masters of time traders in the past. He's arrived in the 1800s to 1900s. And he's also called, I do study his work. One of the time traders I do look into his work. And he said this thing about the markets. My calculations are based on cycle theories and mathematical sequences. Maths is the only science. All power under heaven and on earth is given to men who masters the simple science of maths. By knowing the exact vibrations of each stocks, I'm able to determine at which point each will receive support and what point each will receive resistance. Vibrations is fundamental. Nothing is exempted from this law. It is universal, therefore applicable to every phenomenon on the globe. This was done on an interview in 1929. With that said, he published this paper. He predicted the markets for the next one whole year in a year. This is published live. That's what I always do. And guess what? Does this look familiar to you on the left? Does it work? It's because my team took 3 years to study this. And this year, we finally cracked it. We cracked 7 markets already today. We know exactly 30 points of 7 markets right now. And not only are we doing this, we actually supply these signals to institutions and people who pay us a lot of money to get our signals privately. For example, this guy here, he requested to remove his name. So this was also called a disguised testimonial, $3,000 in 1 week because he was following our signals from this. $3,000 Sing dollars. He pays about, I think, about 200 Sing for this because it's our student. We don't do this for public really. This is not for public, it's too dangerous. So there's the LV itself. Of course, I used to do something called recent trades, but we got so many new trades, some don't bother. I'm going to show it to you where Saturn came in. Remember, I told you that was done by Saturn. This line here was done by Jupiter. All this thing is never about the news. That's what I'm trying to drive here. So by showing you these data right now, how do you feel about looking at all this data? Just type the numbers what you see on the screen. All right. Anyone else? You guys are still alive? Anything? Any questions or anything you want to do before we move on to the next topic? There's one more heavy topic. All right. So just okay. You can answer your purpose. Great. So let's turn up the crack a little bit more. Since you see the impact of this whole program itself or what we can do with our stuff really, right? Now this is where we apply astrology itself into everyday living. So one of our students wrote this thing. They said, I taken a class. Next is real deal. Whatever shares then I open it, attend free talk open mind. Please be very open-minded for the next slide itself. Is damn sickening. But it also makes me angry because I'm going to show to you why I'm doing this. All right. So using our work in this kind of studies, we are actually not only able to predict events and prices, we can tell you exactly what kind of event might happen. Of course, since we've got astrologer here in the place, just curious, Carol, what kind of prediction do you actually do? Are you doing predictive? Carol, are you doing predictive? I do predictive. Okay, great. So you know combinations, right? So the horoscopes combination of planets, right? Elements, great. So I'm going to show you one example right now. Somewhere in July 29, I launched this whole chart. I just write up live 29 July. And what's interesting is that I actually wrote the numbers down, the short and long numbers down. I say if the market will break downwards, these are the prices and the dates you need to take note. However, if the market goes upwards, these are the prices. Do you notice that I don't know the direction sometimes, but I know the dates, and I do know the prices that the market must go to on a certain dates by a certain period of times? So most people out there, or most traders, will try to focus on price, what price to go to, what price to go to. For us, we don't care about price. We only care about time. Can you see that I gave 4 numbers down? 1981, 2023, 2074, and I put the date there, maybe August 10, 2170. And if it's superpower, it's not likely, right? This number, what happened? Any of you heard of this thing called a barrier explosion? Did you know that we already predicted something to happen because this before the war, all the war started, right? Because why? There's something called the Mars-Jupiter combination. What is Mars again? Aggressive, explosive energy, right? What is Jupiter? What is Jupiter? Expander, right? We knew there was a square effect called aspect on the day on 5th August. And what's funny about this movement? The day before that, right, 2 days ago was the moon cycle. There was emotion in the markets, but the price was not balanced. So we knew that astrologically speaking, gold prices must reverse. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. But we suspected that there are some forces out there or someone out there trying to manipulate the price, because we knew that there was a lot of regression, a lot of energy going about. But we gave the prices. These prices must hit because there's something called time equals price. And when we said 1981, the market opened up the big boy signal, 1985. Then the moon came in, the market went to 2020.6. But we calculated it must go to 2023. The moon came in, the price was not balanced. Then came the explosion. The moment the explosion came in, we calculated 2074. The market went to 2075.3. Within 3-4 days later, when the people on the streets are already talking about the whole buying pressure itself, the entire market crashed after that in 3 days to 1863. When the people start rushing to buy, they crash the market in 3 days. Can you see this thing? And look at what are the news trying to say to you before the whole incident happened. Look at what the news. CNBC, go hit $4,000. Market Insider, go hit $3,000. Right, Bloomberg, $3,000, 50% sale to buy. This is money. All the other overseas kind of the guys. Look at what they're trying to do to you. The news is never your friend. And we knew about these movements before the market actually went there already, because this is what we call time equals price. Look at this thing. Now let me show you on the real screen. And I want to talk about this year's incident. For those of you who do not know, gold is crashing like mad right now. Right, so this is a current screen. I'm going to use a bit of astrology here to talk as well. So this was where the scam came in. If I run the moon again, you can see that the emotions came in here. Right? 3rd August was the moon. The explosion came in here on this day. What is your grandfather saying all the time? Your grandfather will say, when the market is uncertain, when there's conflict, do what? Buy gold. Isn't that what they always tell you? Isn't that what they always tell you out there? Buy gold. Isn't it? They say, worst uncertain, buy gold. Hedge it against gold. What else? What else is there? What do they say? Uncertainty, buy gold. It flies. And guess what? They did fly on the uncertainty for 2-3 days to catch all your men on the streets to run in. Within that few days, they crashed it. And you thought that the whole world is going to go up again, right? Those aunties and uncles are buying it here. What happened? They queued further. Over here. Then they queued after 1 year later. Can you see it? This is August 2020. This is April 2021. Do you think they let you win over your news? Or do you think they use fear against you? Look at the drop difference. Buy gold, right? Buy, right? All your stupid news out there. It's a scam. Then what happened this year? You do astrology. When Russia attacked Ukraine, they were looking and they banged on the fact that there was something called a Pluto return effect. So on this day here, every 248 years, Pluto will make one cycle around your charts, right? That's called a natal chart. So the US itself has a natal chart. So 248 years, Pluto came in. They call it a Pluto return effect. Pluto return effect was on this day here, 22nd February 2022. 2 days later, the Russian war started here. The Russian-Ukraine war started here. 2 days later, can you see that gold went wild on the day? Why? Because your grandfather theory come about again. When there's war and stuff like that, buy gold, right? They let you win. Can you see that they let you win for a while? Why do you think they're letting you win? And look at the area before that. There's a moon right before this search, right? They let you win, right? Because they are trying to collect more orders. They're trying to buy more suckers in, which is you guys. And if you look at one long line here, now look at this. Look at the high here. Look at the high here. Now, Look at what they did to you over here. Isn't it a scam? The same price? Is it a scam? And so those people who manage to get out here, one time, they give you a chance. After 2 years later, what do you think they do to you now? What's happening in gold right now? Once again, this whole conflict about buying gold during war is a total scam. It's at the bottom right now. In fact, they might drop further. Might drop further. And why nobody's talking about this? So who knows how to predict all this? Only time traders can do this. No other trading strategies out there can do this. No other strategies out there can do this. And you can see the same setup happen. Moon appear, they're not happy, the price. Now let's look back at this area here again. What happened? Moon appear, they're not happy about it. Same stuff. The same scam has been rinsed and repeated 2 years later. People forget, but not for me. I remember this kind of movements because these are all used for my case studies in the markets. So who wants to invest in market now, knowing that these things happen all the time? Isn't it not crazy? That's the reason why I come up to do this, by the way. That's one reason why I come up to do this. All right? So now that we come more towards the end really itself, I just want to know that, yes, of course, the people manipulating markets all the time. We are the people manipulating the markets. What are you talking about? Okay, basically I support these kind of guys who actually they consult us to ask us what we think. I do consult these people professionally. I don't really tell this to other people, but I do that professionally. They actually do ask us about what we think and what are the dates. They actually ask us already. What are the dates where people get manipulated the easiest? This thing happens all the time. So for those of you who don't understand this thing, right? So this is a little bit complicated. We are facing the age of Aquarius, which means that for the next 200 years in our life, whatever you think you know in the past is over. That's called the Earth era. Before the Earth era was the fire era. Right, 1760s was the fire to Earth transition, the first one. But the Industrial Revolution only happened in 1840s. And it was triggered by the steam engine itself and burning of fossil fuel. Earth itself, an element, right? If you look at the period, how they generate energy during the last 200 years. If you look at the last 200 years, how do we make energy? We burn oil, burn fuel, burn fossil fuel, all that stuff, right? Now ask yourself this question. What do you hear on the news right now because of climate change and all that stuff? What do you think your energy itself is like? Does it sound a bit air, solar power, wind energy, renewable, battery powered, not using oil anymore in the oil tanks? Even the elements of the year do affect what thrives. Again, I'm going to give you another example that some of you guys will think crazy. SARS appeared in 2003, right? As the nature of SARS, did it affect a few countries? It did, right? But what is the nature of the SARS spreading transmission of a spread? What is the spread of SARS? How do you get SARS from A to B, one person to another person? What is the mode of transport or spreading? Air, right? You cough, the person get it, right? Why was SARS not a major pandemic compared to COVID? Because SARS existed in the Earth era. It doesn't thrive. But the moment COVID came in, look at a year, Aquarius year. COVID came in, it's the same principle of SARS, but because it's an air elemental disease, it's spread like wildfire. The era of elements do support the growth of certain stocks as well. What to buy and invest in is affected by the kinds of stocks of the elements of the year. This is where astrology comes in as well. So if you're doing portfolio management, you need to understand what kind of era, what kind of markets belong to what category. The sort of war Russia thing, right? There could be a possibility of a ceasefire at the end of the year. There's a possibility of a ceasefire. There's a possibility of a ceasefire. Russia might retain some control, but what I'm more concerned right now is actually happening on Taiwan. We suspected from 25th January, there could be a conflict on Taiwan side from next year, January onward. There's a potential. It's not a definite, but the whole idea was because of the transition of the Uranus and Pluto coming in. But the one that I'm very concerned about is on 17th March and 20th March next year. I'm very concerned with those dates. We suspect there's some issue with the USD. We suspect right now. So I'm giving you some of the future dates to watch out for right now. Right. So these are some dates that you need to be very careful about, especially on the 17th and 20th March, where a lot of players are going to a full aspects and transitions that going to take place. I can show it to you on the data point. Let me show it to you on the slides. So we really know why I'm very concerned about that day is because of this. So next year, I'm watching very closely in the transition of May 17, right? I'm watching very closely of this area here, the transition. There's a couple of transitions happening, but on that day is very, very important. 15 March is here. Yeah, the transition is here already, but the moon is also transiting in. The moon is not so critical on the period. The one that I'm more concerned about is the bigger planets and the further away planets. I'm more concerned about that. This is for that period itself. That's why I'm really pinpointing 17 March. On the 21st, 25th January there's a major transition also. Once again, there's some energy transition on those days here. The Taiwan conflict there might be a conflict on the 25th. I don't know. I'm just suspecting. No, this is where we take dimension. Okay, that's the astrological part. But when we talk about dimension calculation, there's another factor already. The dimensions looks like this. This one. This is a dimension and astrology combined on the charts. So this on my data chart point. I know every transition point. Major, okay, if you have not realized that major energy, we don't know direction sometimes. We are not so concerned about the price. We are concerned about the energy classification on the day. So if you look at how I issue signals, right? If you look at how I talk about signals, what do I always say? I will give you two sets of data, right? If you look at this one, I give you two sets of data. Sometimes I don't know. I only know that this will be valid. This is why we use dimension price plotting to calculate, not just the cycles. We know the cycle date, but we may not know whether the big boys want to go up or go down because all your orders are put. Do you realize that when you buy in the markets, right, it goes to a broker, right? The brokers have to send the order to what? A prime broker or LP, liquid provider. The liquid provider will then send these orders to the bank. The banks will then translate data to one of the stock market data points or market makers. Every single order in the stock market in the world falls into two tanks, buy and sell. You know what the big boys always do? They will usually choose a side with the less order. I repeat again. Nobody asks this question beyond this there, right? When you buy, you go to a broker, right? Broker will sometimes send to a prime broker, prime or they counter trade you, prime. Sometimes it goes into a STP. This is the terms, only those guys who are working in this field know, STP into LP or MM. MM side there will send to the banks or market makers, banks. The bank side there will transit to the markets, the stock market. Sometimes the brokers will eat against you and fight against you. These are called C bookers, B and C bookers. So whenever you choose a broker, so I teach this in the program, how to choose a regulated broker that is not a scam. There are A bookers, B, C, and D bookers. Some are regulated, some are not. I bet most of you don't even know about this. You get scammed also, you don't even know you got scammed by a broker. That's why you don't randomly choose brokers. You need to check their regulations. So you need to know, you need to understand the entire process flow. But at the end of the day, the consolidation point, you know why the stock market always win? It's because when you know all the orders here, it falls into two tanks. It's either buy or sell. So all the orders coming here, if there's more buying and less sell, you know which one they choose to make it happen? Let me ask you this question right now. If you know that there are more people buying today and less people selling, buy, sell, right? Where will you choose if you want to make money? Which one will you choose? B or S? If you are a big boy right now, where will you choose? This is 60%, 40%. You should join the majority. You join the majority means you have to pay out there. But you need a difference to make money. The money is in the difference. They will pick the minority and they cause the market to crash. when majority of people are buying, they'll pick the minority. That's the same reason why when COVID happened last year, 2 years ago, right? A lot of people say, what the hell, man? The market's supposed to crash, right? All of you will think, oh, according to what we are taught out there, the market crashed, right? Yeah, it crashed. After that, what happened at the COVID cycle, what happened? It's supposed to drop further, right? Right. But do you know that we surpassed the high of the crash? The market is still trending up. And guess what? Everyone is saying, oh my God, market's supposed to crash. Guess what? The market made new high. You call it a crash, market doing badly. You call it the market doing badly. You sure? We call this market doing badly. Now the market looks like sideways, right? But we are coming through an energy transition. Either they join here or they go up even new high end of the year. I know the dates when it happens. I'm not disclosing here right now. I'll disclose in the public channel once in a while. This is going to happen soon. I got the dates already. But there's another possibility. The March one is very critical. The one I told you about, the 17th and 20th. I'm scared of that. Understand? Market's supposed to crash, right? It went up new higher, like new high. It went up higher and higher. But they printed more money. No, March. January, there's a date. I haven't disclosed the date yet. So now you understand my job, what I do. You know about time trading at all, or you kind of knew about time trading. So why the hell am I doing this? I'm going to talk about, okay, you see, I know events every month, right? I can tell you every single month there's an event in the markets. Every month. Every month is an event in the markets. Right? Every month. We in fact, kind of the point that I can't even bother looking at it. But let's look at what we've actually seen so far. I've shown you the three types of trading, time trading. I showed you BMS systems. I showed the moon system itself, one example of all. I showed you some Mercury swing cycles. I showed you the track record. You now know everything's done live. I also show you that we can use astrology itself and some other stuff to calculate and predict events. I also show you the time price principles. So, did you actually get value so far? Listening to all this. If you are new, if you are assisting traders, have you seen anyone doing this before? Have you ever seen this? No, right? I don't think so, right? So, Alaric's favorite quote, did you get value so far? So why am I doing all this? Very simple. I started off back in 2008 as a retailer myself. I was sponsored by Dad, who lost $1 million after that, the stock market. And I also joined the ranks of losing all the way. It was only in 2017 that I first encountered time trading. 2017, this idea from time trading. I'm a fresh grad back then, right? Lost everything, fresh grad. And I started toying this idea called time trading itself. And I presented this data to some of the funds. I said, hey, I'm working on this. And I tried 2 years to get in the industry. I finally got a chance in March 2019. When I presented the same data, these guys, through this guy here, say, try this guy as a prop trader. And I'm still a losing trader, by the way. And they took me in, they say, okay, we'll train you up. So they did train me up a bit. And by the end of the year itself, I was managing a 200K AUM. That's called account under management, right? And I first trained my first students. So I found my research stream on the same year as well. And eventually I left the company because I got pushed over by my company. Then it comes to 2020 itself, I became affiliated with a few regulated brokers. So I work with Trade Nations. I also work with cost spreads. I'm now recently started working with DCFX, which is the MAS regulated company. So I'm actually working with them. I'm pending registration as an expert advisor then, which means that technically I can advise the AIs. So I was also approached by some other investors to start taking all the training them and this and that, and we do consult them for the VC funds all. And what's more powerful is that I actually got the permission and I got the rights to market Optima. So the system you're watching from right now, the one that powers my trading system, is called Optima. They've been in the market for the last 26 years. And if you go to Google Optima itself, which I'm going to show you right now, this is the thing. Optima knows what I'm doing. And if you look at this thing here, they are only meant for the quants and the professionals. This is not for the retailers. If you go there and see this thing, Konat, Optima, my brand is with these guys. My brand is here, Optima. And who are the clients? Who buy software like this? The big boys. Of course, this is not the big boys buy, they won't say that. But the people who are using them working in these places, they use software like this. So I got the rights to market them right now. Because they knew that I know time trading. So that is why none of you will ever heard about this thing called time trading. You never know that such technology exists to kill you in the stock market. You cannot use traditional methods, TA, FA, to beat us. You will never win. That's a guarantee. So this is one of those rare opportunities where I'm actually presenting to you the opportunity to be part of the whole learning journey itself. And of course, I'm not done with the story yet, but this is one of the ways of looking at it. By the time this year itself, I'm already heading a few teams already itself on the signaling front. I do contribute to the stock to the signalers as well and institutions. But how's the other side of my polarity? Before I went to the life professionally, I lost a lot of money. I lost $50,000. I got scammed by a few other brokers as well. I got scammed by institutions, all those fake investment company, nickel trading all. I'm sure you guys know about this. I got a debt. I tried different companies before I did F&B, right? I did things like F&B. I embraced myself on MasterChef as well. I was in top 18 for MasterChef. And I did F&B, I did wholesale supply and stuff like that. I did IT also. So at my worst point itself, before meeting Alaric Ong, I was actually doing Grab for 5 years, 6 years. Uber and Grab. That's how low I went. Right? It's not, I don't look down on people like that, but I'm just saying that I've been there myself. And the reason why I've been there myself is because I lost a lot of money following other traders. There's a lot of guys trying to teach trading out there and a lot of field systems. And when, of course, I hope that I found time trading earlier until now. I couldn't get it until now, then I got it. So this is my journey, my real journey so far. There's no way I can hide this. I was actually stationed offshore overseas. Right? I was actually in Australia for a while. I was very happy there. And I was forced to return. No visa, nothing. Right. So I don't want you guys to go through this path. If any of you who are coming in here right now, it means that you might be serious about considering trading. You might be serious about it. You know, you will never hear me yet for the 1-2 hours so far. This path that I took, being cheated, being scammed, and losing everything, is not a fun path. Right? I went in that. So I don't want any of you guys to go through. I've already exposed to you the real truth behind the markets that no one else is willing to teach you. And that's why Alaric brought me in. If you try asking Alaric to host you, he'll never let you host it, especially for financial stuff. He'll never let you do that. So if you want to do this, of course, stay and listen to it. But if you really want to go through this, I found a way to part this knowledge as fast as possible. It's not a, here is three simplest way to get into trading professionally kind of thing. It's not a 3-day program. It's not a 5 days program. It's a commitment, right? And it's a commitment done with no profits. I'm only sharing the stuff with Alaric as agency only cost, but I don't make money from this at all. So I just need to be very clear of that. So if you guys want to do this thing, very simple. We do allow retailers and new traders come inside there. We actually cater this towards the professionals. You don't need to pick up astrology to become a time trader because we will actually teach you how to do astrology. The whole process is this. We do not upsell. I repeat again. I do not follow Alaric's style. I don't upsell things. I hate to upsell. Right? I'm not going to say, here's $500, here's $3,000, here's $10,000 kind of shit. I don't do that. This is where I differ from Alaric. I'm upfront because in the age of air, Aquarius itself is all about genuinity. It's all about being real. Right? It's not about being, hey, farm and farm and farm. I don't like that kind of stuff. I hate it. So the whole process takes about 15 days. 15 days. I can't do any shorter than that. And like I say, it's for professionals and new traders. So what is the whole process like? Very simple. We will actually give you a foundation for free in the whole process. You can actually withdraw anytime for the foundation period. We only ask you to cover our refund costs. Our refund cost to strikes. It's 5%. Like I say, if you want to withdraw, leave. Before you can even come to the program, we also interview you and we teach you, we'll give you this for free to set you up first before class. Then, after that, you can come for our predictive module. This is where you learn how to scout the markets, you know how to predict the market itself. You know how to do some of the basic stuff that some of the technical stuff do, and we teach you some of the time trading stuff, basic stuff on time trading. Should you think that this is something you really want to pursue further, then we encourage you to pick up time trading yourself. This is where astrology and the use of sophisticated software will come in. We'll teach you what happened in the astrological cycle, what happened in 1700s, 1800s, 1900s, what happens in 2000 onwards. You know that we know data for the next 1,000 years. We have the dates of 1,000 years in advance. We will teach you how to analyze markets from a dimension point of view as well. And we teach you how to calculate the harmonics behind it. That thing will take about 5 to 6 days. I cannot shorten it any further. It's that deep. You will not be able to master the program in one go. So we are very conscious about our karmic effect. What we do is that we give you a refresher and the whole program is recorded, which means that you can see the program anytime you want after the program. It takes about 6 attempts to master the program. So it's not going to be a 1 day, 2 day, 1 month, 2 month commitment. You can come for a program for 1, 2 months, right? But for you to reach our level, it takes about 6 months and beyond. I'm not going to say, oh, here's a program to make a lot of money in 1, 2 days. But if you check with Alaric and those guys about those who sign up beforehand, by the time they came to the 5th day of class, they're making money. The 5th day almost they're making money. All of them who went through my door make money. My success rate per student is 80% and above on average, every intake. Out there, if you go for those gurus out there, it's 15%. Ours is 80% because we train the bankers. We train the fund managers, we train the bankers, we train the prop traders. Like I mentioned, this is for the professionals, but we allow new traders coming, right? So, you know these are retail stuff, right? This is the time trading stuff, right? In the program, the full program, it covers everything inside. So you know how the retailers think, and you know how the time traders think and the professional think. We are very conscious about community. We want you to stay and make this into a permanent income. So we actually do give you live training sometimes for free. We let you meet industry players, so you know that we are legit. We bring some of the professionals in, like this guy, Darren Hawkins, one of them. We bring some of the professionals in. And we also give you careers. We have brought some of them into this industry already. For example, this guy is called Zaid. This year he bought me the Gucci wallet. You can see this thing Gucci, right? It's over here, I'm using it. Why? That month itself, when he bought this to me for New Year's, he made $13,000 doing nothing. He was working in the industry as an IB. I brought him in. We brought about 5 people in today, 5, 6 people today. Traders, IBs, signalers. These are jobs required in the industry. You can come inside the industry if you're good enough. But the minimum requirement is about 3 years. IB, introducing broker, MIB. Right? I don't do I can show you option trading later for stocks later. I'll show it to you later. Right? That's in the Q&A. So if you were to take courses out there, this is what they charge you without research. This is what they charge you out there. Right? It's very expensive. It's stupidly expensive. I paid for these prices also, FYI. And this is what people say for program. Forget about other courses out there. Next, amazing mentor, dedicated time, ensure success student, blah, blah, blah. Sent by his words and over promises, you know, the usual. I'll answer the question later. Sorry, so what I found super powerful is that I found that I can find the hidden forces in markets. I felt like a fool joining other courses outside there, which I gained so little, and which I spent so much, I gained so little. That's what this guy said. Right? And of course, our no upside policy is enforced. We don't want to follow the path. Right? We are strong advocates of time trading. That's our job. We are doing this as a form of education, not as a form of money making. Right? And we want to pass this knowledge to the next generation of traders. That's why we're doing this. So we only do cross-selling. If you really want to do like astrology, we have a committee asking you. We have that. We also have things like astrology. Astrology, if you want to do other kind of studies, we will bring people in. So with any other group programs out there, we have students from 15 countries right now. 15 countries. We have a couple of hundreds of students right now. 15 countries around the world. And of course, we have something called award testimonials where people post their results and this and that. Right? So what are some of the impacts of students that we created? This guy, for example, Edwin, came to me in 2020 himself. He used to run a chain of F&B, lost everything, 16 outlets wiped out. He's now regarded as a crypto king and NFT king in our program. Why? He not only came with his own NFT after that, he flipped NFT like mad. 2.6 Ethereum, which is about $7,000, was flipped for 32 Ethereum in about 2 weeks. Do the maths. But that's not his best trade. His best trade this year was this. He minted an NFT for free, minted. And he sold it away 3 days later for 50 Ethereum at a profit of $138,344 on OpenSea. Can you see that there? The transaction is live. You can go and find this address. This was done. This was the transaction. $138,000 in 3 days. It was done this year, May 2nd. So what's important about program is that, right? What we show you is now and it's live. We don't show you past glories. We show you things this year.